Hello, my name is Don Lam. I'm a co-founder and group CEO of VinaCapital Group. Today, I'm going to share with you third topic in a series of how Vietnam government have dealt with the outbreak of COVID-19 and how Vietnam is moving to reopening its economy and opening for business. The world has taken notice of Vietnam government has how successfully addressed the pandemic. Now that some of the public health measures are gradually being relaxed, Vietnam leader is now ready for reopening of business and jumpstart the economy. And I would like to share a few ideas that can help achieve this goal. Vietnam is getting back to work. With under 300 reported cases of infection and zero death rate, there are no doubt that the proactive and aggressive action to control COVID-19 outbreak have been very effective. Vietnam has flattened the curve. While GDP growth is still expected to be positive like many other countries, make no mistake about it, economic growth will take a huge hit in 2020. To help mitigate the impact of the outbreak, Vietnam government is implementing a range of fiscal measures, just as other countries have done. But it's important to know that these measures essentially help to cushion the blow of the outbreak rather than actually stimulate the growth. If implemented, the following ideas should create growth now and in the future. Fiscal measures to support growth. The fiscal measures being implemented are similar to those of other countries. Workers and households that have been affected by the outbreak will receive modest cash payment for the next few months, a range of modest tax cuts for businesses, and electricity subsidy. These are all helpful in the short term to help counter some of the measures of the immediate impact of the outbreak. Banks like Standard Chartered Bank have noted that the government has some level of flexibility in spending, but resources are limited and must be focused on areas where they will have the greatest impact. How does Vietnam versus the emerging ASEAN country? The step of Vietnam is implementing are similar to those ASEAN neighbors. Indonesia and wealthy countries like Malaysia and Thailand are making slightly higher cash payment to individuals. Meanwhile, the Philippines, which see about 11% of the workforce employed overseas and who contribute to an enormous level of remittance, is also providing support to those workers. Thailand and Vietnam are both encouraging their commercial bank to offer loans to small businesses. Bank lending to SME. Thailand is helping channel credit to affected SME, with the central bank party subsidizing the loan to the commercial bank will extend to them. Thailand Central Bank has also launched a $12 billion fund to buy investment-grade corporate bond issued by local company. In Vietnam, the State Bank of Vietnam has also encouraged commercial banks to extend loans to affected businesses. However, it has not covered any direct financial support or incentive. Vietnam Commercial Bank have reportedly restructured around $44 billion of loans made to COVID impact businesses and extend around $22 billion of new loans to such businesses at concessionary interest rate at the behest of the State Bank of Vietnam. There have been reports in some local media that small businesses, which have been typically found it's difficult to obtain bank loan under the normal circumstances, have continued to have difficulty now. This is likely because the commercial banks are concerned that they will not be paid back. So what are some of the ideas that we want to implement? There are 7. Idea number 1, loan guarantee for SME. Our first idea relating to the form of government guarantee for loan extended to the COVID impact small businesses. Germany is implementing such as a scheme. The government is guaranteeing all loans made from commercial banks to affected businesses. The government is not lending money itself, which is what the US is doing, but instead ensuring that loan will be repaid. Vietnam should be able to do something similar. Such guarantee should help ease the concern a commercial bank may have about being repaid, while at the same time enable thousands of mom-and-pop businesses access to funds and help them to get through the aftermath of the outbreak. The Vietnam government had more options and flexibility to ensure that the loans are repaid than many other countries may have at their disposal. Finally, helping companies survive could have added benefit, eventually creating a new tax revenue. Many SMEs operate in a sort of underground economy in which the revenue is not always clear when calculating data such as GDP. By helping them obtain bank loan and bringing them into the system, the government will help them to move to the official economy, creating more tax revenue and economic data. Idea number 2, infrastructure spending. As mentioned before, fiscal measure and credit will help soften the impact of the pandemic. However, we need to find ways to stimulate new growth. Infrastructure development is one of the easiest ways to do this for the long term. These are not quick projects. Building power plant, port, highway, airport, and urban transit system take time to plan and implement. But they also employ thousands of relatively lower skilled workers and require an enormous amount of material. This is time-tested strategy with proven result. During the Great Depression of 1930, the U.S. created the Work Progress Administration, which generated jobs for over 8 million unemployed Americans. To put it in context, the U.S. had a population of 120 million people back then. This program not only put people to work, but built thousands of projects across the country, from government building to road, school to power plant, many of which are still in use today. It built a foundation that enabled the U.S. to become a manufacturing powerhouse for many, many decades after. China have turned to infrastructure development after the Asian financial crisis in 1997 and after the global financial crisis of 2008, greatly expanding manufacturing capacity. Prior to this event, most industrial activity in China took place on the coast. Following this infrastructure project, high-value manufacturing was able to move to the interior of the country thanks to a new transport network. We believe this is an excellent strategy for Vietnam. Government should emulate. Not only will it provide jobs, but will make the country even more attractive for quality FDI to come and further boost GDP growth. Idea number 3, unfreeze real estate development project. In contrast to infrastructure, jump-starting real estate development is a faster way to generate growth. Like infrastructure, it employs a large number of workers and requires material like steel and concrete. But building an apartment building, for example, is obviously faster than building a highway. There's clearly a demand for property in Vietnam. Before the conflict outbreak, newly launched residential projects were typically seeing multiple bids on each of new units put on sale. Since the outbreak, the price of new apartments in Ho Chi Minh City and Hanoi have fallen only 5 to 10%, according to the broker. A sign of continued strong demand for middle-class consumers to buy home. For the past 2 years, real estate development projects up and down the country have been put on hold due to government review. Vietnam's complex and sometimes conflicting web of laws have stalled new property development as well as infrastructure projects. Provide the directive to move forward with this project and unlock their potential to come to the highest level of government are accompanied by very clear KPI with respect to the process and disbursement. We believe the gridlock we have seen can be unwound with accountability and very tangible short and long-term results. Industrial policy to support growth and employment. Vietnam garment industry is one of the most at risk from the outbreak. With retail sale of clothes down 50% in the US and Europe, we are concerned about the possibility of mass unemployment in that industry. One way to mitigate that blow to some degree is to help government companies convert some or all of their production capacity to personal protective equipment or PPE for the medical industry. These are items like face masks, gown, visor, and other equipment to protect doctors, nurses, and other healthcare workers. While it sounds simple, it's not necessarily an easy transition to make. Exporting PPE equipment to the US and Europe entails granting approval from regulatory bodies like the FDA. Many smaller government firms may not have the technical expertise to manufacture products that meet those standards or navigate complex process of getting FDA approval. But Vietnam government can help these companies do that. While producing complex medical equipment may not be too far for reach of some company, the growing clinical research outsourcing or CRO industry may have some promises. These companies organize a medical trial of new drugs and handle the complicated administrative process entailed with applying to US and European regulator on behalf of pharmaceutical company. which have outsourced about 3/4 of their medical research activity to such firms. We expect this industry to expand post-COVID and Vietnam government to help foster its development. Switching gear, another industry that could boost by focused industrial policy is tourism. Obviously, this is a longer-term play that depends on how COVID is managed elsewhere and the depth of recession that's developing around the world. But by promoting Vietnam as a convenient and safe destination to regional tourists, the government can implement a number of measures to help this industry, which employ over 1.3 million people and account for about roughly 10% of GDP, going again as safely as possible. Preparing for the massive FDI inflow. Finally, it is widely agreed that Vietnam can expect more FDI flow post-outbreak, especially in the manufacturing space. Publications such as The Economist and Foreign Affairs magazine, noted investors like Mark Mobius and the organization as Jethro and consulting firm A.T. Kearney are all predicting that companies will increasingly move manufacturing out of China, and Vietnam will be the big winner. But setting up factory takes time and it's complex. Vietnam Ministry of Planning and Investment can help encourage multinational companies to move their operation to Vietnam by promoting the government early and aggressive public health measures, which have not only controlled the outbreak, but ensure that manufacturing business have been able to operate safely. Additionally, those companies already operating in Vietnam could be encouraged to move in more of their operation here. It is great that international news media have been covering Vietnam's success in the battle against COVID-19, but it would be beneficial for the government itself to directly communicate what it had done and what can it offer interest in moving some operation here. In conclusion, Vietnam is reopening for business. We are open for business. The near term will undoubtedly be challenging, not just for Vietnam, but the entire world. Fortunately, economy in good shape prior to the outbreak. This certainly helped, but it is also fortunate that Vietnamese government had a number of ways to help deal with the immediate impact of the virus, as well as boosting growth in the longer term. To summarize, this includes fiscal measures like loan guarantee to SME, ramping up infrastructure spending, unfreezing real estate development, assisting firms to convert to the manufacture of medical apparel and equipment, promoting the development of CRO industry, promoting safe haven tourism when the time is right, and encouraging existing foreign investors to expand the operation in Vietnam. If you'd like to read more about this idea, please visit us at VinaCapital website to access our full note. Thank you.